Hi, I'm Stu from HiveMind Automation and welcome back to the Hive. In this video, we're taking a look at getting our Meross accessories integrated into Home Assistant. So while I roll the intro, why don't you take a moment to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you get notified when I release new videos, which is normally each week. While you're at it, if you like what I do here and you want to support the channel, there's affiliate links to smart home gadgets you can buy for your own smart home and support the channel at the same time without it costing you any extra. Or you can support the channel directly through my Buy Me a Coffee link. Of course, those affiliate links and my Buy Me a Coffee link can all be found on my website, hivemindautomation.com.au. With all of that out of the way, let's get started. So we've done a bunch of videos about Meross devices over the last couple of months, but we've not integrated any of them into Home Assistant just yet. I'm really keen to add some automations to Home Assistant for some of the lighting devices, especially the desk lamp, the ambient light that we saw, so that we can use it as an alert for things like the doorbell. Now, for prerequisites to get these Meross devices into Home Assistant, we're going to need to install a custom component from Hacks, so you need to already have Hacks installed. I have covered the Hacks install in previous videos, so if you've not already done that, put a link so that you can go do that now, and then when you come back, you're ready to go. So with Hacks installed, installing the component is pretty easy, but we will need to do a restart of Home Assistant when it's done. So we'll head over to my Home Assistant demo instance here, and we've got Hacks, and I'll open up Hacks, and with Hacks open, we'll go to integrations here, and I'm going to click on explore and download repositories. From here, I'll start typing in Meross, and we've got Meross integration, but I want this Meross LAN integration. So I'll click on that. And we've got some information about it here, and there's some instructions on what you might need to do. I'll click download in the bottom right-hand corner. We can show beta versions if we want. I'll keep this to our production releases and leave the version alone, and I'll click download. That's going to take a couple of minutes to download and install. And then when that's done, we're going to need to restart our Home Assistant instance here. So with that installed, if we go back to Hacks, we see we've got one integration for which a restart of Home Assistant is required. I'll click on Navigate here. We'll check our configuration and make sure we get a green will not prevent Home Assistant from starting, and then click on Restart. Restart Home Assistant and restart one more time. This is going to take a couple of minutes to reboot, and then when it comes back up, we should be able to integrate our Meross devices. While we're waiting for Home Assistant to start back up, it is worth mentioning that in my case, I'm going to be leaving my Meross gadgets connected to the Meross cloud. That said, there is a way to connect your Meross gadgets to a local MQTT broker, meaning that you could reasonably then remove your Meross devices from your Meross cloud account, or even then connect them to a wireless network that has no access to the outside internet at all, and only your MQTT broker, and still get full control over them. So now that Home Assistant is back online, if we head over to Home Assistant here, we'll go to Settings, and we've got a couple of updates here. I'll leave those alone for now, but I'll head to Devices and Services here, and we notice now that in our discovery, we have a bunch of Meross LAN devices that are discoverable in here. There's only 2 showing at the moment, even though I know that we have at least 3 devices that should be ready to go. But that's fine. I'll click on Configure next to one of these, and it's showing me the device host address is 192.168.1.15, and it's asking me for a device key. Now, I got really confused by this prompt because I was trying to figure out how I could find my device key, and I was doing a whole bunch of research on it, and I couldn't find any documentation on where to pull this device key from. It just seemed really bizarre that there would be no information anywhere on how to get it. Turns out I just click on Submit. So after I click Submit without the device key here, it says device key error. The provided key is wrong, and choose an option. I'm going to click on Retrieve from Meross Cloud. So now I need to sign into my Meross account, and I'm going to click Save Password and allow Cloud MQTT publish here as well. And I'll click Check Firmware Updates as well. I'll put my Meross credentials in here, and then I'll click Submit. So with my Meross credentials there, I'll click Submit, and we now have the host address and the device key populated. I'll click Submit again. It's figured out that it's a smart RGB bulb, the MSL120D, and it's got the UUID there as well. I'll hit Submit on that. We can choose an area. I'll just put this in Test and Finish. We now also see that we've got the MOD150 Smart Essential Oil Diffuser, and if I click Configure on that, and I'll put this also in the test room and tap Finish. And we didn't need to sign into anything with that one because we checked the Save Password box when we did sign in the first time. And it took a little while, but we now also have this Smart Ambient Light Meross LAN discovered as well. I'll click Configure on that. We'll put that also in the test room, and we will then finish. I'm not going to worry about this Meross LAN here, and I'm not going to worry about the smart garage door opener either. I don't think we need to integrate the garage door opener. I'll concentrate on the essential oil diffuser, the light bulb, and the ambient light. The ambient light is the one that I'm most interested in integrating here. So in our list of integrations here, I'll find Meross LAN, and we've got 3 devices. And we've got Meross 2, which is the light bulb, smart ambient light, and smart essential oil diffuser. Now, over on my B camera here, I have the essential oil diffuser, the light, and the ambient light. So I'm going to start off with the light bulb. So inside the device settings here, we've got the name. I can turn it on and off, and it's nice and responsive there. Inside our diagnostic, we've got signal strength is 78% and one entity not shown, which is a sensor protocol, and I can enable that if I like, and then update that. And that's just going to tell me whether it's using HTTP or MQTT to control the device. That may become important when we look at setting up the MQTT protocol for these devices later. If I turn the light on and drill in, we've got our color control. So we've got blue, green, and red. And those seem to all be working okay. I think the colors are a bit skewed on this here. And I've just got my Meross app open here on my iPhone as well. And if I turn the light off, it takes a moment to reflect in the app. It's not too bad. It's probably around half a second to a second behind. We've got our color temperature range here as well. So that's all working great. I'll just turn that off. I'll back out here, and we'll look at the essential oil diffuser next. Now we've got our essential oil diffuser, and if we turn that on, hopefully you can see that the light has come on there, and we can change the colors of the light using our color wheel, and you can see that there. It's turning on and off. And with this one, we've got this effect, and we can go to rainbow. It'll start rolling through different colors, or just fading through different colors. Over on the Meross app here, if I drill into the essential oil diffuser, you can see that auto cycle is on and the color wheel is rolling around as well. So the other control that we have here is the spray settings. And if I click on the drop down, we've got off, which is what it's currently on. We've got eco, and if I select that, you'll note in the app, we got light spray was enabled, and it might be difficult to see on camera there, but there is vapor coming out of the port of the diffuser there. And we can change that to on, which in the app changes over to heavy spray, and we do start getting a bit more vapor coming out of the diffuser. I'll just turn the light off there. I'll leave the diffuser on just for fun. And the last thing we'll do, we'll back out here and we'll go into the smart ambient light here. Now, Again, we've got the light controls and it's on and off. It's nice and responsive. This one has a switch for D&D, and that I believe is for the lights on the front of the device, but they don't actually seem to be impacted by me turning these on or off. So I'm not entirely sure what that's about. I'll just leave the D&D switch off. Again, we've got diagnostics for the signal strength and sensor protocol. If we drill into the light settings, we can set the light to a color, and inside effects on my Meross app, go to the effects tab here and click on the effects drop down. We've got night, reading, working, relaxing, soft, party, colorful, and family. And those are the same effects that we had inside the app there. Something I noticed in testing here is when I select one of the effects in Home Assistant, it doesn't end up on that effect. I don't know what's going on here. There may just be an issue with this particular Home Assistant component. So if I want one of these effects, I do need to select it using the app, which is a little bit unfortunate because it would be really helpful to be able to use Home Assistant to trigger these effects, but it's perfectly fine. I'm not too worried about it. It's working and we can turn the light on and off. So with all of those set up, I can reasonably click on add to dashboard here, and I can add that to my demo dashboard. I'll click next. I'll pick a different card. I want a light card, and we'll just call this one. And now if I go back to my demo dashboard, we've got the desk lamp here on our dashboard, and we can turn the lamp on and off nice and easily from that dashboard. So to set up an automation, I'll head over to automations and scenes. I'll click create automation, create a new automation, and I'll add a trigger, and we'll grab an entity, and I'll grab a state, and I'll grab virtual doorbell. I've created a virtual doorbell instance. It's just so that we can demonstrate this as if it were the doorbell going off. Obviously in production, I'll use the real instance. So when virtual doorbell goes to on, and I'll scroll down here, we can add conditions. I'm not going to worry about conditions. What I am going to do is add a building block, and I'm going to use repeat because what I want to do is run an action 10 times. I'm going to add an action, and it's going to be light.toggle, and we're going to choose the entity that I want is our smart ambient light, and the light.toggle, let's use a color. Let's run it at red. Our brightness will run at 100%. And so we're going to run 10 times light.toggle. In between each one, I'm going to add a wait for time to pass. I'm going to add 1 second of delay in between each toggle. So now what should happen is when the virtual doorbell gets triggered, we're going to 10 times toggle the light. So if it's on, it'll turn off. If it's off, it'll turn on. And when it turns on, it should be red. So we'll do that. And we're going brightness 100%. And we're delaying for 1 second. I'll save that. Go doorbell, flash ambient. Light is the name. And we'll save. I'll head back to my demo page where I've now added my virtual doorbell button. And I'll click that button and nothing's happening. So the issue I have here is I'm looking for the wrong thing. So what I want to do is I want to change. So when the virtual doorbell changes to any state, that's when I'm going to call the action. So I'll click save on that. We'll head back to our demo dashboard, and I'll click on the virtual doorbell. And so the light's turned off. It's on in red, off, on, and it's red. And it seems like the automation's finished running, and it's on and it's red. Now, I will note that the automation there was a bit rough. If I drill back into that and click run, it is running a little bit better, but in between each run, sometimes it kind of flashes a little bit. it's almost as if it's trying to run the toggle before the delay has ended. And so sometimes what seems to happen is it ends up being not quite right. So if I try adding about half a second, I think it's just because of some latency on the network that it's causing that. I'll make that 1.5 seconds just to make sure that we're all the way done. So I'll click run, and it's still not quite doing what I'm expecting it to do. Yeah, okay. So what's happening here is it's not waiting long enough before triggering the next step. I wonder if we just need a bit more delay on here. But you can see we can automate it now. So in terms of actually troubleshooting this automation, I'll figure that out off camera, but we can now trigger this lamp to turn off and on a couple of times when the doorbell goes off, which is going to be great if we're working with headphones on and need to get a visual alert about someone being at the door. So then the last thing that I need to point out here in developer tools, if we go to services again, is we now have this Meross LAN request, and we can use this Meross LAN request to, select a host address, and I'll go 192.168.1.15, which I think was the diffuser. We can use our protocol, leave it as auto. Our method is going to leave it at get. We'll leave the key alone, and the payload we'll leave alone. I'm just going to, in here, I'm going to select appliance.system.time because I've kind of worked out what most of the payload returned looks like for this. So I'll get appliance system.time, and I'll click on call service. And if we scroll down inside the response here, we've got the request that we sent and then the response. Now, it took me a bit of time to figure out what this was telling me. Got this timestamp here, and that's the current time that the device thinks it is in Linux Epic time. And then we've got this time zone, Australia, Melbourne, which is correct. And then we've got these time rules. Now, it took me a little while to figure out what these time rules were, but when I figured it out, it actually seemed fairly simple. The first item in each array of 3 items appears to be a Linux Epic time, and I couldn't quite figure out what was going on here because this one here is in the past, and this one here is in about a month from now. And then this one here is about 6 or 7 months from now, and then that's about a year from now. I started to get a bit more of an idea when I noticed that this 39,600 and then 36,000, this is 11 hours in seconds, and this is 10 hours in seconds. What I've figured out that this is these are rules for when daylight savings changes. Because when I looked at the Linux Epic time of each of these, they were all at either 3 or 2 a.m. So 11 hours is the offset from GMT that we have here in Melbourne when we are in daylight savings time, and 10 hours, this 36,000, is the offset from GMT when we're in standard time. So I'm guessing then that this Linux Epic time is when the rule triggers. This 39,600 is the number of seconds from GM that it's going to offset our time from. And this number 1 here is going to set a switch that says daylight savings time to on. And then here, when this Linux Epic time triggers, our offset time is 10 hours, and then our daylight savings time Boolean value is 0. So that's kind of what I figured out here. I haven't exactly figured out what I can use this service call for just yet. It seems like we can get, push, and set some different variables here. And there's quite a number of different namespaces here. So we can control lights, we can configure the garage door, we can change roller shutter positions, etc. So there's a fair bit that we could potentially do with this. I haven't found any API documentation, and I haven't really dug too deep into the Meross LAN documentation just yet to figure this out, but we may need to explore that in a separate video. So that's integrating our Meross gadgets into Home Assistant. and leaving them attached to the Meross cloud. As you saw, once we got the custom component installed, setting up the first device did need us to sign into the cloud, but then because we checked the box to remember the password, all of the subsequent setups were super simple. I will be looking into removing these devices from the cloud and using pure MQTT at some point in the future, but for now, I'm really happy with the outcome of this setup. We set up the automation to provide visual alerts for when the doorbell rings, and we're able to add control over our devices onto a dashboard as well. So if you're using Meross devices in your smart home and you've got Home Assistant, I highly recommend installing the Meross LAN Hacks component to integrate them as if they were natively supported. Obviously, we saw that there was a little bit of weirdness with the way the automation was handled with that even 1 or 2 second delay there. So we might just have to figure that out. It also could just be to do with latency. We could just set the automation to turn the light on and do nothing else, setting it to a specific color to be the visual indication. But I do like the idea of flashing it off and on a few times. I think if there were a way for us to get feedback from the unit to make sure that it thinks that it is off or it thinks that it is on before we then trigger the update, that might help us to get where we need to be. As always, let me know what you think of the Meross LAN component in the comments section below. That's all we have for this video, and I do hope that it helped you in your home automation journey. Be sure to drop a comment below with a home automation idea you'd like to see me cover in a future video. And don't forget to follow HiveMind Automation on Instagram and Facebook. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button down below to give it a like, and if you're not already subscribed, now's a great time to change that. While you're at it, if you hit the bell icon, you'll get notified when I release new videos, which is normally each week. Lastly, if you like what I do here and you want to support the channel, there is a Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description down below. Any contribution you make through Buy Me a Coffee does get put towards making more and hopefully better content for you to enjoy. Don't forget to check out my website, hivemindautomation.com.au. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Stu from HiveMind Automation, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.